A massive energetic shift is happening this week. The kind of shift that doesn't ask for your permission to awaken you. It pushes you. And if you are feeling tired, lost, or strangely electric and with your nervous system on edge, understand that these are not signs that something is wrong. They are the symptoms of a deep, energetic recalibration. They are the signs that your soul is being prepared to operate on a new frequency, to take a quantum leap in your spiritual awakening process. This week is a corridor of energy designed for evolution. The cosmic architecture is perfectly aligned to catalyze the next level of your consciousness. We begin the week with the fire of a restlessness that no longer serves us. We are forced to pass through the dense matter of decision and responsibility. We learn to act with a new awareness. And finally, we culminate in an explosion of clarity and collective liberation. Each day is a phase, a stage in an accelerated process of awakening. Consider this message your guide for this journey. We are not just going to survive this week. We are going to use it as an accelerator for your personal ascension. We will decode each stage of this vibrational shift so that you can consciously use this big energy, not just to change your week, but to raise the fundamental level of your consciousness. The goal is to transform confusion into clarity, pressure into power, and crisis into an awakening. If you have been feeling the call to something greater, if you know you are on the threshold of a new version of yourself, but feel paralyzed, then pay close attention. The shift is not coming. It has already begun. You are in it now, and the tools to navigate and master this energy are here. Today, the moon enters the fire sign of Sagittarius, and with it, a familiar energy of restlessness, of a desire for more, may pulse through your veins. It is an urge for expansion, a thirst for the horizon. But if you are truly present and aware, you will notice something different this time. This is not the fire of an explosive new beginning. It is the residual heat of a bonfire that has already burned all night. It is the remnant of restlessness, the last ember of a cycle that is ending. You may feel the desire to do something, but you don't know exactly what. You may feel the impulse to search, but you don't know for what. It is the agitation that has lost its purpose, the spark that no longer finds dry wood to burn. In the context of your spiritual awakening, this is a crucial phase and a sign of great maturity of your soul. It is the moment when your consciousness recognizes that the phase of external searching and impulsive expansion, represented by the Sagittarian energy, has reached its limit. Your soul is sending you a clear message through this feeling. The incessant search for more out there will no longer fill the space within. The energy of fire, which was so useful for getting you out of stagnation in the past, no longer holds the answers you seek now. This feeling of a fading fire is not a sign of failure or that you are losing your passion. On the contrary, it is a sign of graduation. It is your soul asking for the next phase of your spiritual evolution, the phase of giving form, structure, and reality to all the fire and inspiration that have been awakened. That is why this restlessness comes with a new background note, a desire for stability, for something concrete and real. You are ready to transform inspiration into manifestation, and the universe, in its wisdom, is already preparing the ground for this, for the dense and constructive energy that awaits us in the coming days. But first, it was necessary for you to feel the exhaustion of the old model of searching. After the residual heat and the aimless restlessness of the Sagittarius fire, the energetic landscape changes drastically, and it is crucial that you are prepared for the change in density. On Tuesday, the moon enters the earth sign of Capricorn. Think of it as the law of gravity being suddenly reactivated at its full force. The energy, which was expansive, optimistic, and ethereal, now becomes focused, serious, and undeniably real. If you feel the energy get heavy, if you feel a sense of sobriety or even melancholy replacing the weekend's euphoria, do not interpret this as a negative sign. It is the second, crucial, and inevitable stage of your awakening. Crystallization. Everything that was a dream, inspiration, and grand philosophical vision under the moon in Sagittarius is now forcefully brought down to the material plane and confronted with a serious and pragmatic question. This is beautiful, but how are you going to build this in the real world? What is the plan? What are the resources? How much time and effort will this cost? The energy of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the master builder and lord of karma, is the great reality check for our spiritual awakening. It forces us to come down from the mountain of meditation and to look at the foundations of our daily lives. It illuminates the cracks, the weaknesses, and the areas where our structures are not strong enough to support our dreams. It is at this moment that expansion transforms into a real choice and demands commitment. That desire for freedom you felt on Sunday is now confronted with responsibilities and bills to pay. The great idea for a new creative project, which seemed so brilliant and easy, now reveals the need for a business plan, a cost spreadsheet, discipline, and hard, consistent work. The clarity about a relationship that needs to change or end now demands the courage to have the difficult conversation and to deal with the practical and often uncomfortable consequences of the decision. Capricorn energy is not satisfied with intentions. It demands concrete actions and measurable results. In the context of your awakening, this is the most critical phase, and honestly, it is where many give up. It is easy and seductive to float in the energy of inspiration, living in the potential of things. It is much more difficult and challenging to take that inspiration and transform it into a sustainable structure in daily life. The moon in Capricorn tests your focus and your spiritual maturity. It functions as a cosmic filter, separating the dreamers from the doers. It asks, is your awakening just a weekend hobby, a beautiful theory, an escape from reality, or are you truly committed to embodying this new consciousness in every aspect of your life, even in the boring and difficult parts? You will feel this energy as a need to organize, to clean, to create order, and to be productive. You might feel a sudden aversion to disorder, whether it be physical in your home or structural in your career. This is your spirit asking you to build a solid and secure container for the big energy that is approaching at the end of the week. A spiritual awakening without a strong foundation anchored in reality dissipates like smoke in the first wind. It is the structure of Capricorn that allows the light of the great Aquarian revelation to anchor and manifest in a lasting way. Therefore, do not resist this density. Do not see it as a buzzkill for your expansion. See it for what it is, the moment when the cosmic architect hands you the blueprint and the building materials. The universe is not destroying your dreams, it is testing their integrity. A dream that does not survive a confrontation with reality is just a fantasy. The great energy that is approaching needs a temple to inhabit. And in these days, under the moon in Capricorn, your task is to begin building the walls of that temple with discipline, focus, and an unshakable commitment to your truth. After feeling the density and the call to responsibility of the moon in Capricorn, the week's energy goes through its last and most sophisticated transition before the great release of the full moon. On Wednesday, Mars, the planet of action, of impulse, of confrontation, and of our willpower, leaves the introspective sign of Virgo and enters the air sign of Libra. This is not just any change. It is a fundamental shift in the way the energy of action manifests in the world and consequently within you. Think of it in a practical way. Mars is our inner warrior, the engine that drives us to go after what we want. In its essence, it is focused on the I, my desires, my goals, my will. Libra, on the other hand, is the sign of the we. It is the realm of the scales, of justice, of diplomacy, of harmony, and crucially, of relationships. Therefore, what happens when the planet of the I enters the sign of the we? The warrior is forced to become a diplomat. This creates a fascinating energetic paradox and a new stage in your awakening. If the previous phases were about inner clarity, Sagittarius, and personal structure, Capricorn, this phase is about how your new consciousness and your new structures interact with other people. The initial stages of a spiritual awakening can be very self-centered. It's about my healing, my truth, my path. Mars in Libra marks the beginning of a more mature phase of awakening. It is the moment when the universe tests us to see if we can live our truth without disrespecting the truth of others. The question evolves from what do I want to how can we create a win-win outcome? How will you feel this in practice? Firstly, you might notice a hesitation before acting, especially if your action directly impacts another person. The impulse to make a quick decision will be replaced by a need to weigh the pros and cons, to consider all sides of an issue. This can be frustrating if you are used to acting on instinct, but it is a sign that your consciousness is expanding to include a broader perspective. You might feel a greater desire for collaboration instead of competition. The idea of working in a team or finding a middle ground in a discussion will seem much more attractive than simply imposing your will. However, there is a risk here. The danger of Mars in Libra is paralysis by analysis. The warrior who overthinks the consequences of every blow might end up not fighting at all. The desire to be fair and not to disturb the harmony can lead to the repression of your own will, which can result in resentment or in outbursts of passive aggression. Therefore, the strategy to navigate this energy is not to suppress your will, but to refine it. Action now needs to be strategic. Instead of quick action, seek just action. Before entering a difficult conversation, don't think about how to win the argument, but about how to resolve the issue in a way that both parties feel heard and respected. Instead of forcing a project, ask yourself, how can I present this idea in a way that inspires collaboration? This is the final calibration before the full moon. The universe is forcing us to check our motivations and to refine our methods. We are learning to act not just for ourselves, but for the good of the balance in our relationships and in the world. This learning process of conscious and diplomatic action is what prepares us for the great collective liberation of the full moon in Aquarius, where our individual actions will suddenly have a much greater impact, echoing through our network of connections. We have arrived at the apex of the week, at the moment to which all the preparation has led us. After the fire of restlessness, the density of the earth, and the calibration of the air, we arrive at the ether, at the vibrational field. The full moon in Aquarius on Saturday is not a soft or gentle event. It is an explosion, a release, an energetic breaking point. The big energy we announced at the beginning is no longer a promise. It is a tangible and electric reality. The energy that has been accumulating throughout the week, the restlessness, the pressure for structure, the need for balance, now overflows. The full moon acts as a cosmic magnifying glass for everything that was bubbling under the surface of your consciousness. The energy of Aquarius is the energy of the lightning bolt that illuminates the dark night. It is the frequency of sudden revelation, of the truth that arrives like a download, without asking for permission. It is the energy of the future, of the collective consciousness, of our network of human and spiritual connections. Therefore, the truth that emerges in this full moon is not just personal, it is collective. You might suddenly have a shocking insight about your role in a group, in your community, or in your family. You may understand in a new way how your individual energy affects and is affected by the human consciousness as a whole. To understand what happens at this energetic peak, we need to comprehend a fundamental law of the universe that this full moon in Aquarius activates at its maximum potency, the law of frequency. The law is simple and relentless. If your frequency does not match your truth, it collapses. What does this mean in practice? In your life, it means that any area where you are vibrating a lie, where your actions, your words, and your energy are not aligned with what your soul knows to be your deepest truth, will be subjected to unbearable pressure. The energy of Aquarius functions like a cosmic tuning fork. Everything in your life that is not vibrating at its authentic note will begin to sound dissonant, to the point of breaking so that it can be rebuilt in alignment. You will feel this in your body, in your nervous system, in your relationships. A relationship maintained out of convenience or fear of loneliness instead of true love may face a sudden and inescapable crisis. The dissonance becomes too loud to be ignored. A job that doesn't feed your soul, but just pays the bills, may, overnight, become energetically unbearable. The frequency of your inner truth will come into direct conflict with the frequency of your work environment. Physically, this can manifest as sudden anxiety, insomnia, palpitations, a sensation of electricity running through your body. Do not be alarmed. It is your biological system reacting to the conflict between your authentic internal frequency and the misaligned external frequency you have been sustaining. So how do you navigate this collapse and use it as the final catalyst for your awakening instead of a chaotic destruction? By consciously aligning your frequency. This is not a passive waiting process. It is a deliberate act of spiritual sovereignty. For this, I offer you a final alignment action. First, the question that cuts through all the static. In a moment of silence this Saturday, ask yourself with total and brutal honesty, what part of my consciousness still depends on the collective's validation to exist? Think about the opinions you defend, the clothes you wear, the dreams you pursue. How many of them are truly yours, and how many are an attempt to belong, to be approved of, to fit into a family or social standard? The energy of Aquarius frees us from the herd mentality. But first, we need the courage to identify where we are chained to it. Second, the gesture that anchors your new frequency. Take a small piece of paper. Write on it a single sentence. Not a goal, not a wish. A truth. A truth about you that does not depend on anyone's opinion to be real. It could be, I am a creator. I value peace above success. My time is sacred. Fold this paper and place it somewhere you will see it every day. In your wallet, on your desk, taped to the mirror. Leave it there until the next new moon. This is not a magic amulet. It is a constant reminder. It is an anchor point for your sovereignty, a daily reminder of the frequency you now consciously choose to emit to the world, no matter what the collective thinks. This is your act of birth into the next level of your awakening. And so, the week of big energy reaches its climax and begins to settle. The explosion of clarity from the full moon in Aquarius was not an endpoint, but an ignition point. In the days that follow, the electric and almost chaotic energy will begin to diminish, giving way to a new quality of silence. Do not confuse this calm with the end of the process or with a return to normal. This calm is the true beginning. It is the clean field after the storm, the fertile ground where you can now consciously begin to build a reality that is in total alignment with the truth that has been revealed to you. The awakening is not the lightning bolt. It is what you do in the clarity it leaves behind. In the coming days and weeks, you will begin to notice the echoes and consequences of this recalibration in your daily life. Pay attention, as the universe will begin to give you clear feedback on your new frequency. You will notice that synchronicities will accelerate. People, situations, and even belief systems that no longer resonate with your truth will begin to move away from your life, sometimes abruptly and inexplicably. An invitation will be cancelled, a conversation will not happen, a project will dissolve. Do not try to cling. Understand this as your energy field, now stronger and clearer, clearing the path and removing the obstacles to your evolution. It is a sign that the awakening is working. Conversely, you will begin to attract, with a magnetic force, people and opportunities that vibrate on the same note as you. Conversations will become deeper and more meaningful. Connections will seem more authentic and instantaneous. Where there was once an effort to be understood, there will now be a flow of mutual recognition. The universe is bringing the allies and resources that correspond to your new level of consciousness. The most powerful sign of all, however, will be internal. You will develop an almost physical intolerance for what is false. Your patience for superficial conversations, for misaligned situations, for your own old excuses will drastically diminish. This may be uncomfortable at first. It is your energetic system, now purified, rejecting the poison of inauthenticity to which it was once accustomed. Honor this intolerance. It is your new compass, your internal alarm system, protecting the integrity of your new frequency. Living an awakened life is not a passive state of bliss. It is a continuous act of choice. It is the responsibility to honor that anchor of truth that you wrote, to remember your sovereignty every day, especially when the world, with its old patterns and expectations, tries to pull you back to the old frequency. If this week-long journey through big energy has resonated with you, if you felt the push and are ready to claim and live from this new frequency, anchor this decision in the material plane. Like this video, share it with another soul you know is in the midst of their own awakening, and declare your sovereignty in the comments. Let your first transmission on this new frequency be clear and powerful. I own my spiritual awakening. And don't forget to subscribe, as the journey of awakening is continuous, and we will continue to decode the next levels together.